Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our webinar, the launch of our series of videos produced by ICA PCOM and with the support of the National Library and Archives of the UAE on the topic of artificial intelligence and archival practice. Now, before I start the webinar proper, perhaps I could invite all of our participants to use the closed captions feature on your Zoom screen to enable captions to be seen and captions to be available in the language of your choice. We'll be speaking during today's webinar in English and in French. And so if you want to watch the captions or read the captions in your preferred language of Spanish, French, or English, or indeed I believe other languages are also available, please do go to that closed caption feature on your Zoom screen so that you'll be able to follow the discussion in the language that you choose. Also, if I could tell everybody that at the end of the session, we'll be having a question and answer session. And so I'll be inviting you all to use that Q&A button in your Zoom interface, also to post the questions that you would like us to address and go back to. And our panel will be delighted to respond to your questions as best we can. And so that's good. And of course, as we always do with Zoom, we have our chat screen already going, and we'll see lots of people joining us and saying hello to everyone. I just saw Gustavo come in there. Hi, Gustavo. It's very nice to see you. All right, so perhaps I could start by introducing our panel members that will be speaking about this series of videos today, made up of our project team from the ICA team, and of course our sponsor from PCOM and the NLA of the UAE as well. So look, let me start by first of all perhaps going to you, Estelle Aube. Estelle, would you like to just turn your camera on and say a quick hello and introduce yourself? Thank you.
Alors, bonsoir à tous et désolée pour le timbre de ma voix, je suis un peu souffrante, mais je tenais vraiment à prendre part à ce webinaire. Je suis Estelle Aubé, épouse Zogessi, gabonaise, la seule africaine sur ce projet. Donc, j'ai été heureuse de participer, d'y prendre part à ce projet-là et je tiens déjà à remercier David. Vous imaginez, ça n'a pas été facile. J'étais aussi la seule française. Voilà, et le reste, c'était des anglophones, donc c'était pas évident. Mais bon, on a pu mener le projet jusqu'au bout. Et voilà, vous allez prendre le temps de découvrir ce qui a été fait. Merci, David.
Merci very much, Estelle. And it's great to have you as always. And Estelle has just said, and I'll talk a bit more about this in a moment, about our project team. being a great cross-section of ICA members from the regions. And it'll be great to go back and hear a bit more about what this has meant for each of the regional representatives that we have. So let's continue our journey around the regions of the ICA. And Kit, could we invite you just to say hello and introduce yourself?
Hello everyone. So very happy to see all of you join us for the launch today. So my name is Kate. So I'm from the National Archive of Singapore, representing the Southeast Asia region. So it has been a very interesting journey so far, 1 year into the project, and we are very excited to share our insights with all of you today, and really privileged to work alongside with a lot of experts in this program and this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kit. And now to PCOM. Dr. Hamad, perhaps you would like to say hello and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. This is Hamad Al-Mtairi. I'm the Director of Archives Department at the National Library and Archives of United Arab Emirates. I've been serving PCOM for the past 8 years, I believe, and I'm very interested to hear today about the exciting project that will really help us all in this community to understand AI and to understand how AI can help us to boost our activities and our processes in the records management and archives management. Thank you, David.
Thank you very much, Hamad. And you're wearing two hats today, both as PCOM and as well as the National Library and Archives of the UAE, who's the principal supporter of this project. Well, it's great to have you, to have Kit and Estelle joining us for this webinar. Look, it was, as Estelle said, it was a very diverse and interesting team that assisted us on this project. And if I'm just able to share my screen for a moment, I'll just put up to acknowledge the other members of our ICA team that worked very hard on this project, which went for the better part of last year, of 2024, in fact. So we can see there we have Estelle from Mexico. We had Claudia Escoto on there, Saman Qureshi from India, Segamotso Keakopa, Moses Rockenbach was also on there from Portugal. Moses, very well known in ICA circles at the moment as well, and the other roles that he performs. Margaret Crockett, who has got a large background in the ICA, of course, previously is our principal training coordinator. Luis Esteve Casellas from Catalonia. Samaya Langley, the chair of the expert group on the managing digital and physical records. Sharon Smith from Canada, Kelly Spring from Australia, and also Joshua Kasi and Olafile Maswewo, who also assisted us in some of the earlier meetings when we were planning the project. So it's a really diverse and active cross-section of the ICA members that came together for this project. And I would like to make another mention as well to the expert group on managing digital and physical records as our principal partner from the ICA community who enabled this project to go ahead. So thank you again to Maya and Margaret Crockett, who are both members of the expert group, for all of the support and guidance that they provided. So look, that's the team. We've introduced ourselves and mentioned the other members of the team. Perhaps now I can talk about the project itself. So what we set out to do was to, and this commenced in a conversation really between Hamad and myself when we were very early. In fact, I think it was late in 2023, Hamad, you and I were discussing a webinar that ICA had hosted back in 2023 on artificial intelligence and emerging technologies, in fact. And flowing from that webinar, it was clear that there was a great interest across the membership of the ICA to have some more practical, useful resources to help our members understand the impact that AI was having on our profession. And so, Hamad, I think you remember you and I, we sat down together in your office at the time, and we're discussing, what sort of things, would be useful to help lift the veil on AI. I wonder if you can remember those early discussions and your reflections on what was missing in the resources that we had on this topic.
Yeah, thank you, David. So yes, I remember that discussion very well, because also that helped us to also continue this discussion during the ICA Congress in Abu Dhabi, as one of the main, let's say, sub-themes that we had about technologies and about AI and blockchain and other technologies that can really help us to process our and manage our collections and provide access to our collections. So and then after that we had this session with the ICA when ICA hosted that event, and we really tried to understand the requirement and the needs to adopt those technologies. And we came up with so many ideas, so many initiatives also from that sessions. And as we can see, this actually one of the achievements from those brainstormings that we have during ICA and Congress, and also in the sessions that we have after the ICA. So that's why we need to keep this momentum. We need to talk about how to adopt technologies and what type of technologies and how exactly those technologies can help us in each processes within the archival life cycle model overall.
And following that discussion, when we decided that we would initiate this project, the next person I consulted with was Margaret Crockett, who had already given a lot of thought about the training platforms that ICA should have, and what sort of how we might deliver this, if you like, to ICA recipients. And so Margaret was able to give us some really great input on the format and the structure of how we should prepare these video sessions to go through with. And we then took it back to PCOM, Hamad, as a PCOM submission. And I think you were able to tell me afterwards that at the meeting this was quite readily agreed to by PCOM as a priority worth supporting. Is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, because again, why PCOM supported this initiative? First of all, because it's a very important topic, especially nowadays. We can see the implementation of technology in our field. So we need to understand how to adopt technologies, how to plan actually to execute projects when it comes to AI and other technologies. We need to understand the technology itself and how will it help in each process in our life cycle. We also need to understand and learn from others. So if someone else implemented any sort of AI technologies, we need to understand what went wrong, what went and what are the achievements and what are the lessons that we can learn from those scenarios and experience. And the other thing is that this resource will provide insights from experts about how to also be aligned with the best practice, best standards, and the all requirements. And at the same time, we need also to align our implementation with the national, let's say, strategies for AI, for blockchain, and for other technologies. The other, or the last element is actually providing the right skills for the archivist to be able to understand how to use and benefit from the power of AI and utilize the power of AI in processing, managing our content, and of course reaching our ultimate goal, which is providing access to those records and bring them to life, to share it with people, to share memories, and to collaborate more and more, and to benefit the knowledge society overall.
No, fantastic. Thank you. And I do hope that we've gone some way to achieving those PCOM requirements, Hamad, but the proof of the pudding is in the eating, as we say. So look, let's pick up on some of those themes, and perhaps Estelle, if we can go back to you, as you mentioned, on the presentations and the interviews that we conducted in these videos, you were the Francophone and the African representative, if you don't mind me saying so, Estelle, on there. But what I would like to do with Estelle and then with you, Kit, is to ask each of you what particular motivations you had to join this project. What, coming into this, what were some of the questions that you wanted answered about the availability, the accessibility of artificial intelligence for archives? So Estelle, could we start with you? So what really interested you enough to join this project?
Alors, vous êtes sans ignorer qu'en Afrique et dans mon pays, dans le Gabon en particulier, ces technologies sont encore dans un état embryonnaire. D'ailleurs, une étude qui a été menée par l'UNESCO, la représentation nationale de l'UNESCO, a révélé qu'on n'a même pas de cas d'usage au sein de nos administrations publiques. Donc, c'est dire qu'on n'utilise pas ces technologies chez nous. Et donc, pour moi, c'était l'occasion un peu de découvrir ces technologies et comment les utiliser et la manière dont on a procédé, c'est-à-dire partir des exemples des personnes qui utilisent ces technologies. C'était pour moi une occasion, vraiment une opportunité pour mieux comprendre les technologies IA. Donc, ce qui m'a amené à participer à ce projet, c'était de découvrir, aller à la découverte. Et comme aujourd'hui, on ne va pas se mentir, l'IA est devenu omniprésent. Donc, il faut s'y mettre, même si pour l'instant, on n'utilise pas ces technologies, mais d'ici là, c'est sûr qu'on va s'y mettre. Et avec le travail qui a été réalisé, je pense que on va se préparer, nous tous, on va se mettre à utiliser ces technologies. Et au passage, je remercie vraiment Jean-François Moufflet et David qui nous ont accompagnés pour nous faire comprendre, mieux comprendre comment utiliser l'IA dans la description archivistique. Donc, c'était pour découvrir et mieux comprendre ces technologies.
Thank you. And look, it was really interesting, wasn't it, Estelle, to address those particular issues with, and you mentioned Jean-François Moufflet and Thomas van der Waal, but gave us a presentation based on the experiences from the National Archives of France in using, Estelle just said, in using AI to provide better access to some of the more ancient finding aids in the collection of the archives. And Estelle explored in that session how to make these very sophisticated AI capabilities, how they might be useful and available to less resource areas. And I think it was very useful, Estelle, what you did there in the video, the interview that you conducted, to help us all, I think, understand how we might be able to get started with these technologies, even if we don't have a big budget. And so maybe, Estelle, we might come back to that a bit later, because I think that's something worth discussing a bit more. But perhaps now, Kit, I should say, can we come to you? And same question, Kit. You were also a very early volunteer to get on board with this project. What really interested in you in joining, and what sort of questions did you have that you wanted answered by this project?
I think I have a very simple yet selfish reason. I would say I just want job security. I know AI is the big trend and a lot of people are talking about AI replacing humans, but I do see a future where AI and human can work hand in hand together to make archive a better place for all of us. So I do want to find out how AI can be used within the archive context, especially in our country. We have been pushing a lot on digitization and also a smart nation use of AI, but I always struggle to find the exact use case or practical example on how AI is being used in the archival context. I've seen examples used in maybe arts or healthcare sector, but specifically on archive, I struggle to find examples. So I thought this is a wonderful project to join, to sort of connect with the experts, to network, and to find out what exactly are the real use case that we can learn, and also some of the learning points from all the success or maybe field experiment from using AI in archival work as well. So it has been a wonderful journey so far. So I think it all starts with awareness. So I think this is what the video resources are meant to sort of get us started in learning about AI and perhaps taking the first step towards the use of AI.
Well, thank you very much. Maybe then we should start talking about, well, what will people see when they start using these resources, and what we have produced. So the format that the team came up with, when Ahmad and I first discussed this, we thought, well, we'll have a series of conversations with an expert from the field of AI who can have an interview or a discussion with an archivist and just talk about some examples of the application of AI. And then with the project team, we sort of expanded that out. And so we decided we would have, from within the project team, each video would have a panel of ICA members, a panel of practicing archivists, who would then listen to this conversation that had been recorded with the expert from either within the field of archives or academia, or indeed from the technology sector. And then the panel would get back together at the end of the video and just provide some reflections, some responses to that conversation. So it means that each video, it goes from about somewhere between 40 minutes and a bit over an hour, exploring a particular theme. And what I'd like to do now is just share the topics that we did pick up on when we started to, if I can, yes, there we go. As we started to unpack all of the experts that we were speaking with and the interviews that we were conducting, we edited them into these 8 topics. So what you can see there on the screen in French, in Spanish, and in English are the 8 video titles that we have produced as this series. And remember, each one is about 40 minutes to maybe 65 minutes or so. So if I can go through in English, so there's a session on AI, appraisal and selection. So looking at a practical example of how artificial intelligence has been used to assist with the appraisal of records. In that case, we spoke with Jason Franks, who is from the company called Record Point, and he demonstrated to us the research that he was doing within his company, Record Point, to embed artificial intelligence tools into that records management work of appraisal and selection. Digital preservation is another one where we spoke with 3 experts, I believe, or maybe 2 actually, I'm losing track, experts on how digital preservation is being impacted by AI. And if I go through, so then we talked about research and public access. There's one on archival description. There was a piece which is not so much on a field of practice of archives, but a collection type. A very interesting example of AI being used for a collection of photographic archives. And this with John Ballion, who is well known in the ICA community, but he works in a company called Top Photo. And he's got a very interesting application of AI. It was ChatGPT at the time we did the interview, but using AI to assist in the description of a very large collection of photographic archives. Also on the issue of ethics and human rights. So again, not directed at a particular type of archive or a particular medium in the collection, or even indeed a task, a specific task in archives, but how should we as professional archivists be thinking about the ethical approaches we should be taking and the impact that we will have on human rights as we embrace artificial intelligence for archival work. And so that was, that one, for example, is primarily in Spanish with experts from Mexico, and the interview conducted by Claudia Escoto. Then we spoke to an expert from the AI technology sector, a company called Grok in the US. They produce some hardware, in fact, a platform for artificial intelligence. Think of companies like Intel, NVIDIA. You know, he was from that sector, and he had a very interesting presentation for us on how he thought artificial intelligence might be useful to the archival sector. But he's not an archivist, he's a technology sector expert. And then finally, our 8th session, to sort of tie all of this together, we had a number of speakers from academia in particular, and also from the Inter Pares Trust collaborative group, who are doing some fantastic research and a lot of work to help us all maintain our professional knowledge of AI. So it's a fast-moving field, as we all know, and so we thought it might be useful to have a session that we could just sort of talk amongst ourselves about, well, what should we all be doing to stay ahead of this field of artificial intelligence? So they are the 8 topics that you will see when you go to the ICA resource page. Then you just watch the videos through YouTube. We have also given subtitles to each of those videos. So depending on your language of choice, you can watch the video with English subtitles, French subtitles, or Spanish subtitles, depending on what language, or no matter the language of the speaker or the presenter. So they're the topics that we went through. It's quite a large volume of material that's been covered and explored in those various things. And so maybe I've mentioned just a few highlights of the contents in some of those videos, but here again, I might just invite back our project team members to maybe reflect on a couple of those titles and some of the highlights that they found in those topics. So perhaps Estelle, we could go back to you again, and maybe for you just to mention some of the highlights or the particularly interesting points that you think are present in some of these videos.
Comme je le disais tout à l'heure, j'ai travaillé avec des professionnels de la direction des archives de France, à savoir Jean-François Moufflet et Thomas Van der Waal. Donc, on a discuté sur la description archivistique. Alors, ils ont repris des inventaires de manuscrits. Et grâce, donc c'est un projet, le projet c'est Simara. Grâce aux technologies IA, ils n'étaient plus obligés de saisir, par exemple, les données. Et il y a sûrement un gain, vous le constaterez. Il y a un gain en termes de temps, il y a un gain au niveau même du traitement des documents. Et ce que j'ai également apprécié dans cette conversation, ces outils restent des open source, donc il suffira peut-être tout simplement de les contacter si toutefois il y a des personnes qui ont des données manuscrites et qui veulent tout simplement les remettre en format actuel. Vous pouvez les contacter et discuter. Ils peuvent bien vous accompagner dans ces projets-là. Donc, c'était assez intéressant. Et c'était plus intéressant pour nous parce que la grande majorité de nos données, pour moi, et la grande majorité, nos données sont encore en format papier, c'est des manuscrits, donc ça pourra nous aider également vraiment à avancer, à mieux exploiter ces documents-là.
It was very useful, wasn't it, Estelle, that you uncovered during that interview that all of the development work that the National Archives of France had done with their industry partners on that project have now been made open source. And I thought it was very, very useful information to know that a very powerful AI capability can now be made at a very low cost to less resourced institutions. It was a good conversation, wasn't it?
Oui, oui, c'était forcément très intéressant. On est parti des exemples concrets, comment ils utilisaient Simara, parce que c'est ça le projet, pour la reconnaissance d'écriture manuscrite, pour la retranscription automatique, avec identification d'entités nommées. C'est vraiment comment décrire un document sans toutefois le saisir, surtout les manuscrits, parce qu'on avait affaire à des documents du 19e siècle. Donc, c'était une conversation, mais vraiment très intéressante et qui, je reste convaincue que d'ici là, on verra comment poursuivre, mettre en pratique déjà ces technologies-là dans notre contexte. Ça va être très intéressant.
No, it was. And, you know, it was interesting. They also, and when you watch that video, it's also important to recognize, and both Jean-Francois and Thomas made the point that even though the price of the software and the technology might be reduced, it still requires our time and our resources, our personal resources to actually invest in understanding how the technology works so that we can use our archival skill to make it effective. So it's a low cost, but it's not free. You know, it still requires some hard work to make AI work for you. But that's in that was in title number 3 there up on the screen. That is AI to support access, research and public access. But Kit, can we go to you next? And what some of the, looking at those titles up there on the screen, what were some of the highlights that you found?
I think just to add on to that particular video on research and public access, we also had a conversation with Gio from National Archive of Korea. So they are doing a POC, a proof of concept for intelligent search model, which is kind of interesting looking at the name of it. So they are not just looking into how using AI can enhance the search for AV materials, be it face recognition or audio to text transcription, but they're also looking at how you can enhance search in a certain way that you can find also related materials to provide additional context to the records itself. So the kind of powerful search that AI can enhance is really interesting to see how this proof of concept goes. But I think important element that she emphasized is also we can all talk about AI as a technology, but at the end of the day, you also have to think about the user perspective. So as part of their proof of concept, they actually have the element of finding out more from their researcher in terms of what their interests, what are their information needs, to complement the AI exploration as well. So I think it also leads on to the videos on AI and digital preservation. So although we talk about digital preservation, use of AI, I think will be the most relevant and the most related. But I think at the end of the day, it also brings back the bigger question of us, because we know AI tends to hallucinate. There may be some inaccuracy in the results. Then how can an archivist come in? Because we are all going for authenticity. We know how important that is to our profession. How archival principle then can apply in the use of AI in the archival context as well. So I think ultimately, it's not just a tech issue, it's also about looking at the people, as we all know, the need for embracing skills in terms of learning AI and what AI is about, and also processor changes as well. So I think this has a different elements to me thinking about AI just as a simple tech issue.
Yeah, it was really interesting, wasn't it? And Ms. Jeong Park's experience with her institution, the National Archives of Korea, it just reminds us all that when we work with archives, we are always working with context. You know, we're always working with the aggregation of records and the information that sort of exists between records. And this came up with our conversations on description with Adrian Cunningham, and also with others that and I think Korea was very interesting because they were looking at could they include in their AI responses, if someone was putting a research question into the archives, could they also reach out and find other contextual information about what else was happening at that time, what other government policies were at work, you know, what was some of the after effects of that episode. Yeah, it was really very interesting on the importance of context when AI, and as you say, Kit, about, you know, avoiding those things around hallucinations and unwanted bias in the results, and talking to the researchers. As you said, it was a really interesting insight. And late news on that, by the way, since we recorded that interview, Jeong has told me that the government has provided more funding. I think in American dollars terms, it's like $1.5 million or something they have received to make further progress on that initiative. So I really recommend watching that video and listening to what Jeong tells us about her ambitions for that project. But we should all keep an eye on that project, and hopefully maybe in a Congress in Barcelona or beyond, we might be hearing some really interesting outcomes from what they're doing. Now, thanks, Kit. And so, Hamad, can we go to you? You know, earlier I said you had 2 hats, but you actually have 3 hats for this because not only are you a member of PCOM and a supporter for this project, but you made a contribution to one of our sessions on digital preservation as well. But can I ask, Hamad, as a PCOM, you know, member, I suppose, what or indeed as a participant, any way you like, I suppose when you look at this arrangement of topics that we've covered now in this project, and thinking about your own input in the area of digital preservation, you know, what do you think are some of the highlights for you which are coming out of this project?
I think, first of all, the most important thing is to understand the technology itself, and to understand how to adopt the technology. This is the second thing. And then if we need to adopt it, what type of, let's say, resources that we require to be able to have a successful implementation. We need to have a strategic plan. We need to have an operational plan. And then we need to have a training plan. And at the end, we need to understand also the ethical part of it. AI can be something very positive in our field, but at the same time, it might be something as a threat as well. So we need to try to avoid the issues or the implications that can come from the AI implementations. And I believe that it's a full chain, to be honest, from the strategic plan till the implementation and the continuous improvement. And you mentioned something that we need to invest sometime open source technologies that are available, but we need to invest in terms of our time, our efforts, and our skills. And we need to understand that there are principles of, you know, archiving and records management that we need to stick to. Yes, the technology is important, but at the same time, we need to make sure that the principles are implemented in those technologies, respecting the authenticity of the content, the availability of the content, the main elements of the digital preservation overall, and how to keep also track of the AI changes throughout those developments and enhancement. And I would like just to say that we need to add something to what you said. Yes, we need to invest, and we need to convince also the technological partners. We need to tell them that those are the right implementation from the archiving point of view, because it will always be a challenge to translate what we need and what the technology can provide, and vice versa. So it's a collaboration between archivists and technology partners.
No, very well said. And it's it was that really came to the fore, I think, in all of these discussions. Was it's always more than just switching on a bit of software, isn't it? There's a lot of planning that has to be done, and a lot of responsibility that we have to manage in the overall impact of using a rapidly developing technology like AI. And thank you. And I should also point out that Hamad also appears in that item, title number 2 on digital preservation, and shared with us some of the experiences from the National Library and Archives of UAE. Look, mindful of the time, I will just skip ahead, because while we're talking about the breadth of topics and mentioning a few of the discussions that we had, I've just put up on the screen here a list of the guest speakers that we had appearing. And as you can see, we have quite a wide range of expertise. We have archival experts such as Adrian Cunningham, who is a member of the expert group on archival description and had a great deal to say about description and the impact of AI. John Ballion, practicing archivists working in a specialized field of archives in top photo with photographic. We had from UNESCO, for example, UNESCO in Mexico. We had speaking on ethics as well, again, outside the archival community, Ernesto Ibarra in Mexico, who was able to give us some expert views on human rights issues around. I'll try not to read out all of the names, but as you can see from the screen, and you'll see in the videos, there's a good representation of academia, of tech sector, policy leading organizations such as UNESCO, such as the Academy of Cybersecurity, etc. And also Interpares Trust, I think, does deserve a special mention here, because there is so much collaborative work and research going on under the umbrella of Interpares Trust AI, that we were very lucky to tap into quite a few experts who are working within that community of researchers. Just by way of the format as well, and I might stop sharing my screen at this point. At the end of each of the videos, you will also see some links and further reading put up there. And a couple of them I was able to use QR codes to make it a bit easier to link up with further online resources. Otherwise, the actual title, the URLs are put up on the screens. But we have also produced, for each video, there is a text document on the ICA website, which has got those links and those further resources on there. Because we acknowledged, and I remember Margaret Crockett in particular on the team was very keen to make sure that AI is moving very quickly. These videos were produced over a fixed period of time, and the technology will move on. So by having these online resources available, we hope that will maintain a link with emerging research that's going on. So that's also on there. And look, and finally, I would like to once again thank Hamad, through you, to thank the National Library and Archives of the UAE for the material support for this. PCOM very kindly approved the project, and then with the support of PCOM, and also I have to say through Gabriela and others, we had really good support from the ICA training program advisory group. So I'd like to acknowledge the input and guidance that they gave us as well. But Hamad, just can I once again take this opportunity to thank National Library and Archives UAE for the support. And I don't know, maybe you've got a comment. I hope you'll be satisfied with the outputs.
No, on behalf of Anali and even PCOM, I would like to say thank you to everyone who participated in this journey. And we are very happy because even the collaboration that we will have even after this event and after the review, and I mean the archivist will be able to access those resources and try to benefit from those resources. I'm sure that this collaboration itself is an achievement to our community. And as we said before, we need to keep this momentum. We need to talk to each other. We need to listen. We need to think about the partnerships with technology partner, with other also partners that can help us to achieve our goals, achieve our objectives, to preserve the history and to keep it and provide it for the future generations. Thank you, David.
No, thank you. So look, maybe we could move to the Q&A then. We already have some questions coming in. But first of all, perhaps, Gabriela, if you're online, we should also let people know where the links are to, fantastic, thank you. So in the chat window there, are some of the links that will allow you to then hop on to the ICA website and start consuming these videos that we've produced. Again, I remind you that we made 3 sets of the titles, mainly because of my technical incompetence. I couldn't have a dynamic subtitle file, so we have videos which have been recorded with subtitles in Spanish, then with subtitles in English, and with subtitles in French. Again, to make it as accessible as we can right across the ICA community. So maybe we could go through some of the questions and I might sort of share some of these around. And I think if we have most upvotes, so I'll sort it in terms of most upvotes. So if you see a question on there that you are interested in, give it a vote and it will come to the top of our list. So the first one is from Marco Jimenez. Which considerations should be taken in the use of AI retrieval augmented generative systems applied to digital archival systems, for example, in regards of information security? We did, perhaps I could answer this one, in our topic on the use of AI to promote archives. With our conversation with Tim Sears from Grok, we did talk about RAG, and there's a demonstration of RAG technology, and also in the maintaining professional knowledge of AI, we also talked about the impact of this RAG system. So RAG is retrieval augmented generative. And so very briefly, Marco, I don't have a long answer. I recommend you watch those videos and follow up on the research of some of those experts. But we did go into the value of retrieval augmented. And it's primarily around that if you just use a large language model, which is, you know, off the shelf, such as DeepSeek or ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever it might be, you will just be subject to whatever data is in that large language model. If you can supplement that with a data set from an archive, for example, or an approved, authorized set of information as an augmentation to that, then you can achieve better information security, but also better integrity of the results. So yes, that is covered in some of the videos. The next one from Haydar Hadi. AI is a tool that can help in open discovery in a short time. Should libraries and archives create their own large language models using AI tools from trusted vendors, considering privacy concerns and the impact on resources? Now, you know, I should say at the outset, I'm going to give this one to you, Hamad, because you might be able to have a view on this. I don't think that we can necessarily answer as AI experts across all of this, but we can talk about the video resources we've created and how they might attempt to answer some of these issues. But while we've got that question, Hamad, have you had a chance to look at that question? I know that your archives, I think, are looking at developing an AI tool. Is there something in that? Should we create our own LLMs?
I think it depends on the overall, let's say, infrastructure, the infrastructure available in the organization, and the skills that we need. Because if we need to create something, we need to be sure that we can continue the improvement of this technology. We need to keep track. So there are some positive points and some drawbacks as well. So it's I would say it depends. You need to first of all understand the requirement and then design the specs that you would like to have in the systems. And based on that, you will be able to decide whether you need to go in developing your own system, or maybe try to combine or customize some available technologies in the market. So I would say it depends. It's a very difficult to answer, this question in general, but you need to first of all study what you have available in your environment, and based on that you can decide.
No, thank you for that. Kit, I wonder if we might involve you and perhaps Estelle in answering some of these other questions. Kit, maybe you can talk about the format that we use. There's a question here from Jessica Bushi that, am I correct in understanding the experts in the videos are not archivists? They're having a conversation with an archivist. Do you want to talk about the variety of experts that we had?
Yeah, I think David has shared just now. So we actually are very privileged to have experts, not just from the IT field. We do have actual practicing archivists. So Chiyong from National Archive is a practicing archivist for more than a decade. And of course, we do have people from the academic field, the IT field. So it's the mixture of expertise that actually helps in these video resources as well, because we need the kind of perspective, not just from within the archive, but from those related professionals that may come in with the perspective how AI can help the archive. So I would say that yes, the conversation is led by archivists, many on the project teams, but we are having a conversation across different experts.
No, thank you. And I can see some of our experts are on the chat as well. I think I just saw one pop up from John Bally, and it's good to see you here, John. Hamad, maybe you can just quickly address this one, because there's a question here about sustainability. Was there consideration of sustainability within these topics or preliminary discussion? And I very conveniently flicked this to you, Hamad, because this came up in the conversation you recorded.
I would say that the answer might take two dimensions, let's say. The content sustainability and the technology sustainability. As I said earlier, we need to make sure that we have the right skills and the right people to manage this technology, to develop it, to provide also the right support for the technology, and to make sure that they can scale it and they can modify it when needed, and they have the full control over this technology. And when it comes to the content, it's a bit complicated. There are so many systems that are available to provide this type of assurance. But we know as archivists that we cannot always trust technology 100%. We need to make sure that we regularly check, regularly have some sort of testing to see if the content is still have its own integrity and without compromising the security. Because when we migrate data or we shift data from system to system, there are so many risks and threats around those processes. We need to capture this. We need also sometimes, as we said earlier, we need to capture the development of the AI technology itself, the improvement. And I will link this also to one of the topics from the resources about ethics, how also to document what is possible, what is not possible, what is according to the ethical guidelines that each government organization should have. And then based on that, we need to link those elements to have the I would say the best way to have a sustainable systems and sustainable content as well.
No, thank you. Just another couple, you just mentioned ethics there. There's a question here from Etsuko Watanabe. Hello, Etsuko. It's very nice to see your name again and to see you're here online. I hope you're well. It's a question about generative AI is a very powerful tool, but we need guidelines that act as guardrails rather than brakes. And does ICA have any plans to develop guidelines? I can't answer that question, Etsuko, but I can say, as Hamad was just referring to, in this, in that video that we have on the topic of ethics and human rights, we not only do we have a very insightful conversation with a couple of experts there, but it points to a wealth of resources published by UNESCO, for example, and others, which I think are there for organizations like ours, like ICA, to adopt. We can readily adopt guidelines produced by UNESCO on the ethical use of AI. But I don't want to, there may well be plans for ICA to produce some more specific guidelines for Gen AI archives. The question, I think Desi, hi Desi Pratiwi has also got a question here about to what extent should archivists partner with ICT experts? Estelle, I wonder if I might draw you in again on this one, if I just give you a bit of notice to turn on your microphone, Estelle. To what extent should archivists be partnering with the ICT experts? And again, reflecting on the video that we recorded with Jean-François on the National Archives of France, do you just want to mention that part of the conversation, how they did discuss their partnership with IT companies?
Je ne sais pas si je vous ai bien suivi. Vous pouvez reposer la question, David?
The question is, how important is it for archivists to work with ICT companies to find solutions for AI?
Je pense que Ahmad tout à l'heure a évoqué quand même cet aspect-là. C'est dire que aujourd'hui, en fait, les archivistes doivent chercher à collaborer avec tous ceux qui créent les entreprises qui créent des technologies. Il faut chercher vraiment à collaborer, qu'on n'ait pas peur de toute façon. La machine ne remplacera jamais l'humain, mais il faut qu'on s'y mette. Et comme le proposait dans notre conversation avec les agents des archives de France, il disait aujourd'hui, il faut débuter par la formation sur l'IA. Débutons par les formations et définissons également clairement ce que nous voulons. Et ce n'est qu'à partir de là qu'on pourra voir avec les créateurs des TIC quel outil serait nécessaire pour nous. Donc, que les archivistes n'aient pas peur, formons-nous, et je pense que les vidéos qui ont été réalisées vont vraiment nous permettre de mieux comprendre l'impact de ces technologies IA sur nos pratiques au quotidien. Donc, ces technologies sont utiles pour nous aujourd'hui. Ça va nous aider dans le travail à avancer plus rapidement. parfois, on peut même dire améliorer notre travail. Formons-nous. Il faut qu'on se forme et collaborons avec les entreprises d'éthique.
No, no, excellent. No, thank you, Estelle. And I would just add to those comments from Estelle, and John Ballin is online here. I just saw a comment from John, but John's appearance on the video is an excellent example in his work with photographic archives. His partnership with a Blue Box is the name of the company. And I'm not here to advertise any IT companies, but it's a really good case study of a great collaboration between John with his expertise and with a photographic archive, partnering with a very empathetic, if you like, ICT company to come up with a bespoke solution, which I hope will eventually sort of, come to market and be available for others to use. So I think that, Desi, I think your question's a very good one to encourage us to do that. Look, I'm aware that we're coming up on the hour now, and I should probably bring the session to a close. I just once again would like to thank everybody on the project team for giving us your time, your input, and your expertise and your energy to make this project a reality. Once again, to thank PCOM for your support and guidance for the project. The training program advisory group, again, fantastic oversight. The ICA Secretariat, thank you so much for organising this, but also organising all of the logistics of getting all of these videos together and putting them up on the website. Maria Paula, Marianne, Gabriela, everybody in the ICA Secretariat has been fantastic and very supportive. And finally, once again, Hamad, thank you to the National Library and Archives of the UAE for that unwavering support over a 12-month period to make sure that we could bring this to fruition. So with that, I will close the session unless I'm told there's something I've forgotten to say or something that I've forgotten to put up, but I think the links are there and the videos are all available now. So once again, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us for this webinar. And on behalf of our project team, I really hope that you enjoy the series of videos we've produced, and I really sincerely hope they are of some use to you as you develop your professional competence in the field of archival practice. Thank you, everybody.